Hello everyone, I'm Michael Serapio. Thank you for joining us here in CPAC as we are standing by right now, as you can see on your screen, to bring you to Burlington, Ontario. That is the home riding of Government House Leader Karina Gould, Liberal MP who will today officially kick off her leadership campaign. She did post a social media video yesterday. It confirms what has been a source of speculation for weeks, ever since Justin Trudeau announced his impending resignation earlier this month. Now, as we keep an eye on what's happening in Burlington, a few of the announcements are beginning ahead of Karina Gould. Let's take a quick look at a bio here for those who are less familiar with Ms. Gould. Now, she is the current government House Leader, first elected to the House of Commons back in 2015, re-elected in 2019 and 2021. As I said, she is the government House Leader, has been since 2023. Before that, the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, as well as Minister of International Development and Minister of Democratic Institutions. So that is a bit of the bio. She's 37 years old, and at this point she is and will be the youngest person running for the Liberal leadership in the next few weeks. Now, that said, let's take a look at who is running right now. Karina Gould again throwing her hat officially today after yesterday's social media post. She joins Mark Carney, who had an event earlier this week in Edmonton. Chrystia Freeland also made it known on Friday that she will be running for the Liberal leadership, and we will be taking you to her kickoff event in about an hour's time. They join Jaime Batiste, Chandra Arya, and Frank Baylis. Those are the names right now. As the list becomes clearer, more crystalline, if you will, as to who will be running for the Liberal leadership. And with that, let's go to Burlington, Ontario right now as we see the scene. It looks like Karina Gould is making her way to the room. Let us take a listen to the event as it unfolds.
My name is Karina Gould, and I'm running to be the next leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. Je m'appelle Karina Gould et je me présente pour être la prochaine chef du Parti libéral du Canada. I am so happy to be here with all of you today. You are the people that believed in me from day one. You are the folks that work hard, that knock on doors, that get out there and talk to Canadians and listen to them. And we're here at a local small business where we have coffee and chats, where we chat with the community. I'm a grassroots politician, and I'm here because of every single one of you. Et je suis tellement fière d'être ici, d'être la députée de Burlington, de vous représenter à l'échelle nationale. And I'm so grateful to be here with my family, with my friends, my colleagues, my supporters. I'm a middle-class kid from Burlington. I grew up here with a mom who was a local veterinarian and a dad who fought for farmers. They taught me the value of hard work, of tenacity, and always fighting for what matters and standing up for Canadian values. It is such a privilege to be the representative of Burlington. It is such a privilege to get to take your voices to Ottawa. And I'm here today to say that I want to take the voices of all Canadians to Ottawa. Je suis un produit de la politique de bilinguisme de ce pays, une politique libérale dont nous devrons être fiers. J'ai appris mon français ici à Burlington, à l'école d'immersion dans le système d'éducation publique. Mes parents m'ont inscrit dans l'école pour apprendre le français parce qu'ils croyaient dans le bilinguisme de ce pays. Et ce n'est pas parce qu'ils étaient francophones, non. Mes parents sont des anglophones, des raïces allemandes et tchèques. Mais ils savaient que notre pays est basé sur les deux langues officielles et que être Canadien, c'est d'appuyer, de comprendre que l'anglais et le français sont deux langues importantes dans notre pays et ça fait une part intégrale, primordiale de qui nous sommes. My grandparents came to this country after World War II. They arrived with $5 in their pockets, hopes and dreams. They became apple farmers in Linden, Ontario. And my grandmother got to see me not just become a member of Parliament, but become a cabinet minister. And my story is the story of so many Canadians whose families might have been here since time immemorial, or maybe they've only been here for 10 years. But it is that dream, that hope, that promise of opportunity and possibility that Canada represents. C'est qui nous sommes comme un peuple. Nous sommes un peuple qui est bienveillant, qui est fort et qui est plein d'opportunités et de possibilités. Et on a créé un pays où tout est possible. Et c'est cet rêve. Et c'est cet rêve pourquoi je me présente pour la prochaine chef du Parti libéral. I want to tell you why I'm a Liberal. I became a Liberal on October 30th, 1995. I was a small child then. But what I can say is I have a very clear memory of the moment I became a Liberal. And for those of you that know that date, it's the date of the Quebec referendum. And I remember sitting on our living room floor watching the results come in. And I remember the anxiety that I felt as a child, that something was going to happen to my country, that there was a nervousness about the future. And then I remember seeing Prime Minister Jean Chrétien come on television. And I remember feeling relief. But more than anything, I thought, that is a man who fights for Canada. And it was in that moment that I realized that that is the essence of the Liberal Party of Canada. Liberals fight for Canada. Et à ce moment, dans notre pays, face des menaces locaux, du Parti conservateur et Pierre Poilievre, qui veut faire des coupures dangereuses de notre pays, qui veut changer les valeurs canadiennes et quelque chose de complètement différent à qui nous sommes, et que nous faisons face aux menaces économiques du sud de notre frontière, qu'est-ce qu'on a besoin maintenant, plus que jamais? Les gens qui se battent pour le Canada. And when it comes to standing up and fighting for Canada, I want to say something very clear to anyone who thinks that we should become American. Canada's sovereignty is non-negotiable. À qui que ce soit qui pense que le Canada devrait devenir américain, écoutez-moi. La souveraineté du Canada, ce n'est pas négociable. Now, if I'm being honest with you, we have a big challenge ahead of us. Canadians have lost trust in our party. And if we are going to be able to keep building our country, we must rebuild our party. I became a Liberal at the age of 14 because I believe in Canada. I believe in who we are as a people. I believe in the promise that we represent for the entire world. The Liberal Party of Canada is not a hobby for me. It's not a side project. It is something that I have been working for my entire life, like so many of you in this room and Liberal Party members across the country. Et je veux prendre un moment à parler à nos militants de partout dans notre pays. Je sais que le Parti libéral représente ta manière, ton véhicule d'améliorer le Canada. C'est une opportunité de présenter vos idées, d'avoir des grands débats des politiques. Et vraiment, les meilleures idées que nous avons eues comme Parti libéral étaient mises sur la table sur les militants libéraux dans les conventions de politique depuis toujours. Oui. And so as we re-engage Canadians, we need to re-engage Liberal members. Because it is Liberal members across this country who have had some of the greatest debates on our policy convention floors, who have brought forward bold ideas that have moved Canada forward. And that is what I'm asking of you from across the country. Join the party, make a donation, bring your idea forward. I want to hear from you. Because we wouldn't have things like same-sex marriage in this country if it wasn't for the bold ideas of the young Liberals of Canada. We wouldn't have legalized cannabis in this country if it wasn't for the bold ideas of the young Liberals of Canada. We wouldn't have had the courage to make reconciliation one of our top priorities if it wasn't for the bold ideas of Liberal members across this country. I'm running to be the next leader of the Liberal Party of Canada and your future Prime Minister because I want the same things for me and my family that I want for you and yours. I want you to be safe and feel safe in your home and your community. I want you to have a good job that gives you the confidence and the comfort to know that you can pay the bills that you need to pay. I want you to breathe clean air and drink clean water. And I want you to have access to health care when you need it. Ce sont les choses les plus importantes, plus primordiales pour les Canadiens. Et moi, je suis là pour vous, pour le Canada, aujourd'hui, demain et pour les années à venir. I am here for you, for Canada, today, tomorrow, and for years to come. It is time for a new generation of leadership, a generation of leadership that brings people along, that reaches out to those who feel they've been left behind, a generation of leadership who's not going to stand behind a podium and read a speech that was prepared by somebody else. No, someone who speaks from the heart. Who puts people, Canadians first, who's not thinking about how we can do this as a bureaucracy in Ottawa, but is thinking about how it impacts people right across the country. I have always felt that the job of a politician is to put the human face on policy. And it is you, the Canadian, Canadians across this country who are in my heart every single day. Le moment est maintenant pour une nouvelle génération de leadership en ce pays. Et je vous demande, joignez-moi à cette nouvelle génération de leadership, puisqu'on peut travailler ensemble, puisqu'on peut rêver de toute la possibilité qui est et le potentiel du Canada. Join me. Visit karinagould.ca. Sign up. Get your membership. Donate. Okay? Volunteer. Because together, we can rebuild this party so that we can keep building our country, and we can rebuild this party so that we can re-earn the trust of Canadians and build the Canada that we want and win the next election.
Karina, you talked about climate change in your video. We've heard, there's been a lot of discussion, obviously, about the carbon tax and what to do with it. Some other leadership contenders have said they would suggested they would scrap the consumer price. What is your position on that?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Look, I think what's incredibly important is that for Liberals, and quite frankly for Canadians across this country, climate change is one of the most important issues that we are facing. And one of the things that I love most about Canadians is that when there's a problem, they look for ways to solve it. And I understand that the price on pollution is something that a lot of Canadians don't feel speaks to what and how they think they can contribute and how they can make a difference. So what I am proposing is that we need to immediately cancel the increase to the price on pollution ahead of April 1st. We need to bring in measures that are going to help Canadians make the decisions that they want to make. Because Canadians are actually making those decisions already. They're already looking for ways to reduce their emissions, but sometimes it's too expensive. So we need to make sure that we're helping them buy an electric or hybrid vehicle. We're helping them reduce their their emissions in their homes and finding other ways for them to make those contributions. While at the same time, industry needs to play its part. We need to make big polluters pay, and we need to ensure that we have a comprehensive national plan to fight the climate change. This is so important. Look, we're seeing what's happening in California, and we've seen the wildfires across the country. And Canadians care about this. But let's give them the tools and the way forward to make those decisions so that they too can be part of the solution. Oh, 1 second, Dennis. I'm just going to do it in French, and then I'll get to you. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Dennis, I'm just going to do it in French, and then Laura has a follow-up, and then I'll come to you. Okay? Okay, cool. En français. Ce que j'adore des Canadiens, c'est que quand il y a un enjeu, quand il y a un problème, ils lèvent la main pour dire comment est-ce que je peux trouver une solution. Et je sais que pour les Canadiens, partout dans ce pays, les changements climatiques, c'est quelque chose qui est important pour eux et ils veulent avoir des solutions de comment eux-mêmes peuvent contribuer à réduire les émissions. Je vais immédiatement canceller le hauteur du prix sur la pollution le 1er avril et je vais avoir des programmes pour aider les Canadiens à faire les choix qu'ils veulent faire, qui à ce moment peut être trop cher pour eux, mais qu'ils peuvent réduire leurs émissions. Et c'est d'acheter un véhicule électrique ou hybride et faire les changements à leur maison pour réduire les émissions. On sait que les changements climatiques, c'est un des plus importants enjeux dans notre pays et dans notre monde. Et je sais que pour les Canadiens, ils veulent être partie de la solution.
Karina, so just to clarify, you would keep the current price on carbon, but you would scrap the increase on April 1st?
Correct.
And how can you, I mean, how can you kind of justify that with how much the government has defended this and, you know, how you've been attacked, quite frankly, by Pierre Poilievre on the issue? How can you turn around and change that but keep the price as is?
So, look, I listen to Canadians and understand where they're coming from. And, you know, we need to make sure that we are hearing Canadians where they are. And so this is a demonstration that I hear them, that we're going to keep fighting climate change, but I hear that this isn't necessarily the way that they want to do it. And so we need to make those difficult choices. I'm not afraid to make those difficult choices, and I'm not too proud to change policies if they're not working for Canada. Dennis.
Describe for us the support network that you will rely on, because you have essentially you're a mother of two small children, government house leader, even though the House is not sitting and running for the party.
Yeah.
Can't do this alone. How will you manage it?
With everybody in this room. So just to be clear, I spoke with the Prime Minister earlier, a couple of days ago, to let him know that I would be resigning my cabinet post in order to pursue the Liberal leadership race. And in this room, I have friends and I have family, and I have the most incredible support network a girl could ask for. You know, I have an amazing husband, I have an amazing dad, I have amazing brothers who all step up to help and to be there. And I am so unbelievably fortunate to be surrounded by love and support that I'm able to do this work, not just on behalf of Canadians, but on behalf of my own children, for whom I want them to have the best possible future for them and for all kids across this country.
CBC News. You've suggested, Karina, Donald Trump won't listen to your fellow leadership candidates. Why do you think the incoming president will listen to you, and why do you think you're best suited to manage Canada's relations with the Trump administration?
Yeah. Look, I want to be very clear that I think it's really important that we have bankers and journalists, and I have tremendous affection for both, Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney. I just don't think Donald Trump is going to care whether you were a banker or a journalist or a baker, for that matter. I think what Canadians need and what's going to be the most effective for us as a country is to have a leader who has the confidence of the party, and more importantly, a leader who has the confidence of the country. You know, if you give a bully your lunch money, they don't leave you alone. They come back for more, and they just keep shaking you down. And what we need now, more than anything, is someone who can bring this country together. We need a united Team Canada approach, whether it is, political parties across this country, whether it is premiers across this country, whether it is businesses, labor unions, everyday Canadians. We must be united and strong in the face of these tariff threats, because what do bullies respond to? Strength. They back down. And I can tell you that I've been dealing with a bully in the House of Commons every single day. And I know how to stand up for Canada and for Canadians. On a besoin des bancaires et des journalistes. Ils sont importants pour notre pays, bien sûr. Et j'ai beaucoup d'affection pour mes collègues Chrystia Freeland et pour Mark Carney. Mais je ne suis pas certaine que c'est quelque chose qui est important, les CV pour Donald Trump. Ce qu'on a besoin, c'est une leader, et ce qui va être le plus important pour le Canada, c'est une leader qui a la confiance du Parti libéral et plus que ça, la confiance des Canadiens. Je sais que quand on va confronter cette menace des États-Unis et des tarifs, on va avoir besoin de quelqu'un qui peut unir le pays. Et ça doit être quelqu'un qui peut unir soit les premiers ministres de partout dans le pays, soit les partis politiques, soit les business, soit les syndicats, soit les Canadiens de chaque jour, qui va unir le pays. Parce que la chose la plus importante pour nous, c'est d'être unis face aux menaces qui viennent des États-Unis. Parce que si nous sommes divisés, c'est quand on va perdre. Alors, c'est le moment d'être l'équipe Canada, d'être fier d'être Canadien et d'être fort. Parce que ceux qui font les bullies, c'est s'ils te demandent ta argent de poche pour leur lunch et tu lui donnes, ils vont pas te laisser. Ils vont revenir pour plus. Alors, c'est temps pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes d'être unis, d'être premièrement Canadiens. Et comme ça, on va gagner.
Bravo. Thank you. And just to follow up, do you think there's room in this leadership campaign to talk about issues besides Donald Trump, and what do you think those are?
Yeah, there has to be. There has to be. Look, this is obviously, Donald Trump, and tomorrow is a big day for the world, right? With President Trump's inauguration. But that's not the only thing going on. Canadians are still struggling. They're still struggling with the cost of living, with housing, with rent, with food. Those are things that are so important. We still have important work to do when it comes to reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. We still have important work to do when it comes to fighting climate change. We still have important things to do when it comes to protecting who we are and our Canadian values. And so we absolutely have to be able to have a broader conversation, because Donald Trump is going to be there for the next 4 years, but Canada is going to be here for hundreds of years more. And so how are we going to make sure that that promise of Canada that I spoke about is real for everybody in this country? And when I think about the threat that is facing us right now, yes, it's coming from south of the border, but it's also coming from Pierre Poilievre and this iteration of the Conservative Party of Canada. And we must protect who we are as Canadians from his dangerous agenda of cuts and his desire to change the very nature of what it means to be Canadian. En français? OK. Que absolument, on a besoin d'avoir une conversation plus gros que ce qui représente le menace immédiate de Donald Trump. Mais Donald Trump va être ici pour les prochaines 4 années. Le Canada va être ici pour les centaines d'années à venir. Et cette promesse dont j'ai parlé dans mon discours avant, c'est quelque chose qu'on doit préserver et protéger pour les générations du Canadien à venir. Et il n'y a pas seulement une menace du sud de notre frontière. Il y a une menace réelle dans notre pays avec Pierre Poilievre et cette itération du Parti conservateur qui a un agenda de coupeur dangereuse et qui veut changer l'identité même de qui nous sommes et nos valeurs comme Canadiens. Alors, on a besoin d'avoir une conversation sur l'abordabilité, sur le logement, sur les changements climatiques, sur la réconciliation avec les peuples autochtones et sur nos valeurs et identités comme Canadiens. Alors, absolument, on doit répondre à ce qu'on voit des États-Unis, mais on ne peut pas laisser tomber des autres enjeux qui sont aussi importants pour nous comme Canadiens.
Vous n'avez jamais eu de portfolio spécifiquement économique dans le contexte d'une société de tarifs avec les États-Unis en porte-voix. Qu'est-ce que vous pouvez apporter à la table dans ce contexte?
Ah non? C'est pas vrai? Moi, j'étais sur le comité du cabinet Canada-États-Unis pendant la première administration de Trump. Moi, j'étais le président du comité du cabinet du Canada et le monde. Moi, j'étais le ministre de développement international. Alors, j'ai beaucoup d'expérience internationale. Et aussi, j'étais la ministre des familles. Et j'ai négocié avec toutes les provinces et territoires le programme de garderie. Et si quelqu'un me dit que les garderies et l'abordabilité n'est pas un portfolio économique, je vais lui demander c'est quoi alors? Exactement. Parce que, comme mère de famille, comme quelqu'un qui va au supermarché pour acheter la nourriture pour ma famille, je sais que l'abordabilité, c'est quelque chose d'économique. Et je sais pour les familles de partout en ce pays, l'économie, c'est leur jour à jour. Alors, je comprends entièrement ce qui représente l'économie pour les Canadiens. Et peut-être j'en étais pas un bancaire, mais je suis une personne normale qui sait c'est quoi vivre dans l'économie qu'on a maintenant. So for those of you who say, well, she doesn't have any economic experience, and what's your international experience? Well, I sat on the first Canada-US Cabinet Committee during the first Trump administration. I was the chair of the Cabinet Committee on Canada and the World. I was the Minister of International Development who had to negotiate and defend Canada's interests, and I was the Minister of Families. And I think Canadian families know what it's like to live in this economy. And I was the Minister of Families who negotiated childcare across this country, which is saving families thousands of dollars every year. I'm a mother who goes grocery shopping. I'm a mother who has to live in this economy. I'm a person who understands what Canadians are going through. And I think if you asked every Canadian family right now what matters to them, it's making ends meet. And that's what our economy is about. Moi, je veux écouter des militants de partout dans ce pays. Les Canadiens se joignent à un parti politique parce que c'est leur manière d'améliorer et de partager leurs idées et d'essayer d'avoir leur impact sur le futur de leur pays. Et moi, je veux écouter des Canadiens encore une fois. Je crois que c'était une des choses qui était le plus importante d'être une membre du Parti libéral. C'était d'avoir des débats, des conversations, d'explorer toutes les possibilités qu'il a pour le Canada. Dans une démocratie, pas toutes les idées avancent. Mais c'est important d'avoir cette discussion. Et c'est ça que je veux des militants de partout dans ce pays. Et on a besoin d'écouter de tout le monde en chaque partie de ce pays. Ça se peut qu'on n'a pas des députés en Saskatchewan, mais on a des libéraux en Saskatchewan. Et ils ont les voix importantes qu'on a besoin d'écouter. Parce que le Parti libéral doit être une partie qui est là partout dans le pays, qu'il n'y a ni une région dans le pays où il n'y a pas une voix libérale. Alors, je veux écouter de tout le monde, puisqu'on peut reconstruire notre pays, et en reconstruisant notre parti, on peut reconstruire notre pays. Merci. So when I talk about rebuilding the party, I'm talking about hearing from Liberal members, party members from across this country who have important ideas, who have a vision for who we are as a country. We need to have those policy debates. We need to hear those ideas because that's what makes the Liberal Party so great. And we have to make sure that we are hearing from people right across the country. And so we might not have any members of Parliament in Saskatchewan right now, but we have members of the Liberal Party of Canada, and their voice matters too. And we need to make sure that the Liberal Party of Canada is not just based in some regions in the country, but is a truly national party where we hear from everyone. Because by rebuilding our party, by having those great policy debates, we're going to put forward the best ideas for Canada. And so I'm excited to re-energize, re-engage the membership so that we can keep building our country. Good question. As a former House leader, it's a complicated one. But what I will say is I think we need to have a serious review of the capital gains tax increase. We need to hear from innovators in particular. And one of the things that I've committed to in my conversations with leaders who are entrepreneurs, who are in the tech industry, is how do we find a way to enable growth in a meaningful way? And so I'm going to have more to say on that in the coming days.
And, as minister, you oversaw the government's about phase on electoral reform. Do you support changing from first past the post? What is your message to young voters who feel sort of betrayed by your government?
Well, look, at the time that decision was made, it was when Donald Trump first entered office and when he was threatening to renegotiate NAFTA. And he did renegotiate NAFTA, and then he imposed tariffs on aluminum and steel in our country. And if we were going to do something as big as bring forward electoral reform, we needed to have the energy of the country behind us. And so this is another moment that we are facing with Donald Trump right now, who is threatening 25% tariffs on our entire economy. And being in government is about making difficult choices. And so I think that is an important conversation that carries on and we need to keep having because our democracy is so important. And so how do we ensure that that conversation can happen, can be done in a way that is productive and brings people together, while also understanding that we have to meet the moment and make sure that we are protecting our country. Yeah.
I'm Rashid Sayed. I write opinion pieces for Globe, Toronto Star, and Troy Media. One question you mentioned of presenting a united front against Trump's tariff. How do you reconcile with Daniel Smith's position on this scenario?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think the premiers were pretty effective in this. I'll give it to Doug Ford and Wab Kinew, two people who are on opposite ends of the political spectrum, who said now is not the time to divide our country. It's time for everyone to get on board. And I'll say that the same goes for Pierre Poilievre, right, who said he was going to bring back warrior culture. Well, turns out it's keyboard warrior, okay? Because when the rubber hits the road and he's asked to stand up for Canada, he immediately says, oh, but not everything is on the table. I'm sorry, when your country is under threat, everything is on the table because every Canadian matters. But this is what we expected from him, right? It's the same thing that happened last time. the Conservative politicians, instead of standing up for Canada when we were renegotiating NAFTA, which we did well, and which we won, by the way, their instinct was to capitulate. Their instinct was to sell the things that matter to Canada and to Canadians. And I'm here to say to all of them, to every Canadian, Canada first and Canada united.
I don't understand. So you're leaving it as is, but you would scrap a plant increase. So are you saying, like, what you're saying, people don't really like it anymore? So why wouldn't you just get rid of the whole thing?
Well, because it's responsible currently for 10% of our emissions reduction. So just because Pierre Poilievre is not telling the truth doesn't mean that we shouldn't have good policy that has a meaningful impact. But I also understand that now is not the time to increase it, that Canadians want to make a difference, and we're going to provide them, and I'm going to provide them, different ways for them to do just that. Thank you. So, thank you so much, Burlington, for being here. Merci, Burlington. Merci. J'ai hâte de cette course. I'm excited to do this. Let's go win the leadership. Good God.
And there you have it. We've been listening to the Liberal House Leader, Karina Gould, as she gives hugs to people gathered there in Burlington, Ontario. You see Liberal MP Lisa Hefner there to the left of your screen. She also gave a hug to Pam Damoff, also Liberal MP for Oakville in the gray you see in the front of your screen again. And that was Karina Gould as she officially kicks off her leadership campaign, announcing that she is running to be the next leader of the Liberal Party, saying she's running for Canadians so that they might feel safe in their homes and communities. She's fighting for their good jobs, that they can be confident that they can pay the bills, breathe clean air, drink clean water, and also get the health care they need when they need it. Now, Ms. Gould also says that Canada needs a new generation of leadership that brings people along, someone who speaks from the heart, who puts people and Canadians first, remembering that Ms. Gould is only 37 years old, much younger than the Prime Minister and the other Liberals who are throwing their hats into the ring for leader. And in regards to policy, you heard a couple of the questions there about the carbon tax. It has been controversial for the party, and while some Liberals say they would cancel the pollution levy, Ms. Gould says she would keep the tax for now, cancel the incoming increase scheduled for April the 1st, and would consider changing course on the tax. So that is what she is arguing right now. We'll see the reaction to that. But let's take a look at who Ms. Gould will be running against for the Liberal leadership. This is a busy day in terms of that regards, because Chrystia Freeland is expected to officially kick off her campaign in about 12 minutes time. So you see her with her hat in the ring, also Mark Carney, the former Bank of Canada governor, Karina Gould, as well as Jaime Batiste is also saying he will run for the Liberal leadership, Chandra Arya and Frank Baylis as well, the names that will be hoping to succeed Justin Trudeau as the head of the Liberal Party. And as for the important dates in the leadership run, we'll take a look at this because, as we said, we know that Justin Trudeau did resign on January the 6th. January 23rd will be the deadline for candidates to declare their leadership bid. January 27th will be the final date to register as a Liberal in order to vote for the new leader. And after that, a couple of more key dates to keep in mind. February 17th, that's when the $350,000 entrance fee must be paid in full by each Liberal candidate hoping to be the leader. The voting ends on March the 9th, and that is when a new leader will be announced. And of course, the context of all of this is March the 24th, because that is officially at this point when prorogation is meant to end, and the new Liberal leader, the new Prime Minister, will be leading the governing party in the House of Commons. So some key dates to keep in mind as we take a look right now at Toronto at another event that is coming up again in about 12 minutes time. This is where Chrystia Freeland will officially kick off her campaign. She made it known on Friday that she is running for the Liberal leader, so we will take you to that event as soon as it gets underway. But for now, I'm Michael Serapio. You have been watching CPAC as we cover the event in Burlington, Ontario. We'll be back in about 10 minutes' time. Until then, you are watching CPAC, and we return you to regular programming. Hello everyone, I'm Michael Serapio. Thank you for joining us once again here on CPAC today as we are about to take you to Toronto, where we are awaiting former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland. You see the event as it is starting to the right of your screen. Ms. Freeland officially kicking off her campaign today to succeed Justin Trudeau as Liberal leader. Now, Ms. Freeland did confirm her intention to run on Friday, but it was long believed that she would eventually run for the top job. Speculation that was, of course, strengthened back in December on the day of the fall economic statement, when Ms. Freeland resigned from cabinet just hours before she was scheduled to deliver that update. In her resignation that Ms. Freeland did make public, she criticized the Prime Minister's economic stewardship, likened the latest round of spending as gimmicks, which Ms. Freeland said Canadians would be able to see through. Still, she left cabinet as one of the Prime Minister's most accomplished cabinet ministers. And as we await Chrystia Freeland to take to that podium, let's take a quick look at her bio to remind people essentially what she's bringing to the table as she tries to become the next Liberal leader, elected first in 2015, then re-elected in 2019 and 2021. She has been the Minister of Finance since 2020, Deputy Prime Minister since 2019. Before that, Minister of Foreign Affairs, which she held for 2 years, and also Minister of International Trade before that. In fact, at one point, Ms. Freeland was described as the Minister of Everything. And let's take a look now at the leadership race that she will be joining, because Chrystia Freeland is just one of several names that have emerged in the last few days or so. You see her there. Mark Carney, of course, earlier in the week in Edmonton announcing his decision to run for Liberal leader. Of course, the source of great speculation as well. Karina Gould, as you saw here on CPAC in the last hour, well, she has now officially kicked off her campaign to be the next Liberal leader. And they join three other names that are in there, among them Jaime Batiste, Chandra Arya, and Frank Baylis, and that is the current round of people who will be running for the Liberal leadership at this point. And as we see the podium there, someone is now giving a speech. Ms. Freeland, Chrystia Freeland, will be taking to that stage to officially kick off her leadership bid. Until then, let us go right now to Toronto and take a listen to the event as it unfolds.
Vous savez, les régions rurales sont le cœur battant de notre économie et de notre identité. Chrystia comprend cette réalité. Elle sait que l'avenir du Canada passe par un développement inclusif où chaque région est valorisée et soutenue. Notre pays traverse un moment crucial, comme on connaît tous. Nous devons choisir une personne qui est capable de défendre nos intérêts face aux menaces. Donc, qu'ils viennent de nos adversaires politiques ou encore de leaders étrangers comme Donald Trump, Chrystia a déjà prouvé qu'elle était capable de tenir tête à Donald Trump. She's the one we need. Contrairement aux conservateurs de Pierre Poilievre, jamais nous n'abandonnerons notre pays. Le Canada n'est pas à vendre. Canada is not for sale. And Chrystia, she's the person for that. Chrystia incarne le changement dont nous avons besoin. Elle incarne une voix forte qui parle le français et qui défend les valeurs des Canadiennes et des Canadiens. Il est temps que nous tenons debout face à la tempête et de choisir la bonne chef. C'est pourquoi je suis fier d'appuyer Chrystia Freeland comme chef et prochaine première ministre. Thank you very much. Veuillez maintenant accueillir, please welcome, my friend, my colleague, the big Mark Holland.
Merci Stéphane, merci à vous tous. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec vous. C'est un moment essentiel pour notre pays. C'est un moment qui exige le meilleur de nous-mêmes. On a besoin d'unité. On a besoin d'expérience. On doit travailler ensemble plus que jamais. Et on a besoin de Chrystia Freeland. Folks, like you, I remember those dark days. I go back to 2013 when we were knocking on doors, when the cause of liberalism seemed like it might be dead. And I met Chrystia Freeland in that moment, somebody who left an exceptional career and stood up and stepped up to fight for Canada, to fight for liberalism, to fight for what she believed in. And you know, when I met Chrystia in that moment, it was a continuation of service. Whether or not it was at the Globe and Mail or the Financial Times or the Washington Post or the Economist, whether it was as a journalist or as a managing editor, Chrystia spoke truth, and she took on those that would fight against our freedoms. Do you know the kind of courage it takes as a student to take on Vladimir Putin and the KGB, to talk about what is true and what needs to change in this world. And she continued that journey as she was a part of our government. She stood up to Donald Trump. She fought for us during NAFTA. She won then. She will win again. She fought for $10 a day child care to make sure that women had access to affordable child care, and it has had a huge impact on women's participation in the workforce. She fought for critical things like dental care. Ladies and gentlemen, she has been a fighter all the way through. And you know, the KGB had a dossier on Chrystia Freeland, and they actually taught KGB agents the power of a passionate person with determination and will who is willing to speak truth. They taught them just how much to fear a person who is imbued with those factors. Well, I'll tell you, if they're still teaching that course, they better get ready to write a few new chapters. Because Chrystia is ready. She is ready to build on what we've done well. She's ready to admit what we've done wrong and what we can do better. She is ready to fight for this country. She is my friend. She is a true grit liberal who's been there with us in times thick and thin. She is going to be the next prime minister of this country, and I cannot wait to see what she does. Merci beaucoup, tout le monde. It's now my extraordinary privilege, as well as I know Chrystia, the next two people know her a lot better than I do. Ladies and gentlemen, Chrystia's children, I present Ivan and Helena.
Hello, everyone. It is so good to see you. My name is Ivan. Mark got it wrong, that's okay. I would like to present my beloved sister, Halimka, to say some words about our strong, willful mother.
Hi, everyone. My name's Helena Boley, and like you've already heard, it's my absolute privilege to call Chrystia Freeland my mom. I really do want to say, personally, how incredibly grateful I am to every single person here for showing up. Because, like you might imagine, when I was growing up, my mom was pretty busy. But she was never too busy for us. She somehow always managed to find the time to show up. And now Yvonne and I, we get to show up for her. And I know most of you might be thinking that the stakes right now are a little bit higher than when she came to my 6th grade play. But the great thing about my mom is she'd absolutely disagree. She would always insist that our time, our work, was every bit as important as hers. And what I really hope all of you will understand is that's not just how she feels about us, her kids, or my dad, or even her friends, a lot of whom are here to support her today. That's how she feels about every single Canadian. She never feels that she's more important than everyone else. She spends every day working incredibly, astoundingly hard. But what amazes me isn't the hard work, I've come to expect that from her, but the amazing selflessness with which she works. It is the value and care that she puts into every single person in this country that makes her do what she does. She never sees herself as being out of the ordinary. She just shows up every day for Canadians. Elle est juste présente chaque jour pour tous les Canadiens. C'est ça pourquoi je suis tellement fière d'être ici aujourd'hui et de vous présenter à ma mère, Chrystia Freeland. And that's the reason why I am so incredibly proud to be here today and to introduce you to my mother, Chrystia Freeland.
Merci. Et bonjour, chers amis libéraux. Thank you so much, Subin, mon cher Stéphane, the big Mark, for your kind words. And thanks so much to all of my caucus colleagues who are joining us here in person and virtually. And to my children, Halia and Ivan, дуже дякую. I love you guys so, so much, and I'm really grateful to you. A person who is doing my kind of job, and maybe all of us, like we sometimes worry that our kids get mad at us for the work we do, so that was very nice to hear. I am so... Glad to be here at the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club today. A team, we can do anything. We really can. And I'm so, so grateful to be here with such an amazing team. And I'm glad to be here today at the St. Albans Girls and Boys Club. This is a really special place in our community, and it's a really special place for me. In my office in Ottawa, I have a beautiful painting of a Canadian flag made by kids. $1 million in the first tired of Canada fighting back. I guess someone really, I guess. Going to let anyone disrupt our democracy. We definitely believe in and we need a diversity of views in our country. Now is the moment to launch a political campaign. Now is the moment. Now is the moment to stand up and fight for Canada. For our great and amazing, beautiful country, our country that needs us to be united, that needs every single person and every single supporter across the country. Important, and we are a free country. We're a free country, and one of the great things about our country is that people are free to express dissenting points of view. But what is not okay, what is not okay is to get in the way of others expressing their point of view and putting forward their position. That is not what democracy means. That is not okay. And that does not make Canada strong. There are a lot of people in this room who want to hear what I have to say. and a lot of people across the country too. And I want to tell you all, I am not going to let anyone stop me from working with you. From talking with you. And from talking about how we together are going to stand up for our amazing country. We're not going to let anyone stop us, are we? No! And I think we know the harder they try to stop us, the more it means that people are afraid of us, right? The harder they try to drown out our voices, are we going to let anyone stop us? No! Are we going to let anyone drown out our voices? No! Are we going to let anyone stop us for fighting for Canada? No! And do we know that the harder they try to stop us, the more they are afraid of someone who's going to stand up for our country? People who want to stop us, but we're not going to let them. Okay, so I think we should start by being respectful to the place we are. We are here in the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club, and it is an amazing place in our community, in this neighborhood. This is such a great place for kids, and the kids here, they painted a flag for me. A Canadian flag. I keep it in my office in Ottawa. And I keep it there to remind me of one really important thing. To remind me of the people I work for. To remind me that my job, to remind me you know, I think I mean, I have to say, come on, let's be respectful of democracy, and let's be respectful of the kids at this Boys and Girls Club. This is not okay. It is not okay to disrupt Canadian democracy. And I want to tell everyone, I am not afraid, and I'm not going to back down. And no one in this room is going to back down, And no one who stands with us across the country is going to back down. Canadians are just not going to put up with it. You can have a different point of view, but you cannot stop others from speaking, and you cannot stop our democracy. Okay? And I mean, come on. Who is going to interrupt saying a couple of nice things about the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club where we are right now? Really, who is going to stop us from saying a few words about the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club? Anyone here want to protest the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club? You have a chance, okay? Anyone here doesn't like the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club? Shout now. I'm inviting you. Shout. Tell me why you think it's a bad thing for kids here to have some lessons, to get some great meals, for this great community center to help the kids and families of this neighborhood that I represent. You want to yell about that? Do you want to yell about that? Okay. I didn't think so. You shouldn't. You should not be yelling and shouting down the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club. This is a great place. I am very glad to be here. I am glad to pay tribute to the parents, the teachers, and the kids who spend time here. I want to thank those kids again for the beautiful Canadian flag that they painted for me. They painted it for me because I'm their member of parliament. And I keep it in my office with pride, and also to remind me of something important. To remind me of the people I work for. To remind me of the people it's my job to serve. And so I know who I serve. I serve Canadians. I serve the kids and the teachers and the parents for whom this is such an important community center. And so I want us all to take a moment to give a big round of applause to my bosses, the kids and the teachers of the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club. Okay, so we're all agreed we love the St. Albans Boys and Girls Club. Yeah? Do we think it's great that kids can have a great time here, that they can learn, that they can get a great meal? Okay. And do we think it's important to have a democracy? And do we think it's important to state our position and defend our country? Yeah. And I think we all agree, it's okay to protest. It's good to protest. It's part of being Canadian. But it is not okay to stop others from speaking, right? Okay. Glad we've established that. So, my name is Chrystia Freeland. running to be leader of the Liberal Party and the next Prime Minister of Canada. Assure you, I am here to stand for Canadians and to fight for Canadians, and a little bit of banging is not going to get in my way. And it's not going to get in our way, is it, either? If you want to stand up to Donald Trump, and I'm going to do that, you can't let a little bit of noise bug you, can you? No, you sure can't, and we sure won't, right? Alors, je m'appelle Chrystia Freeland. Et je me présente pour devenir chef du Parti libéral et pour devenir la prochaine première ministre du Canada. Welcome to my neighborhood. To the community I have the privilege of representing in Parliament. Yeah. So many of you here are already my friends. Neighbors on Marlborough Avenue, teachers who taught my kids at the wonderful Cottingham Elementary School, parents of other kids from that school, terrific people who volunteer with Yvonne at the Avenue Road Food Bank on Wednesdays. And parishioners we've gotten to know at Church of the Messiah, just up the road. You're my friends, you're my neighbors, a lot of you are related to me. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to be supported by the people who know you the best. But for those of you I haven't met yet, here and across the country, I want to tell you a little bit about myself and about why I'm running to lead our amazing country. I am the very proud mother of 3 amazing kids. I really am the very proud mother of 3 amazing kids who put up with stuff like that. Not that often, but sometimes. And they hold their heads and they keep on going. And I'm so proud of you guys and so grateful to you. And I'm the wife for more than 26 years now. I was a child bride of a very amazing guy who a lot of you know, Graham. And while Toronto is now my home, I was born in Peace River, Alberta. A place in the rural parts of our country that Stéphane Lauzon spoke about so movingly. My dad's a farmer and a small-town lawyer, and my mother was a Ukrainian immigrant who arrived here with her family as a child. I owe so much to my parents. My dad hired men to help on the farm with seeding and at harvest, but he always insisted on taking the very earliest shift himself. My mother, who couldn't speak English on her first day of school in Canada, was one of just 7 women in her law school class at the University of Alberta. You learn a lot when you grow up in northern Alberta. You learn grit, you learn the value of hard work, and you learn the value of a real community. People in the Peace Country look out for each other. When it's 40 below, you don't have a lot of choice. My parents worked hard, and Freeland farms grew and thrived. But they were never fancy. And so it was thanks to our great public schools, to my amazing teachers, to generous scholarships, that I had the chance to go away to university, to places I could have never aspired to reach without our country's help. And that changed my life forever. As I was finishing my studies, Soviet communism started to collapse. It was an incredible and inspiring time in the world. I traveled east to tell that story. I covered the fall of the Soviet Union, the rise of Putin, the oligarchs. I covered presidents, CEOs, and even a few plutocrats along the way. I had a great career, so much better than I could ever have imagined as a little girl in Peace River. But no matter where my reporting took me, Canada was always home. And I got really worried by what I saw Stephen Harper and Pierre Poilievre doing to our country. So in 2013, I took a really big risk. I quit my job, I packed up my 3 kids, and moved back to Canada to run for the Liberal Party. I ran first in a contested nomination, which I could have lost. Then in a by-election, which I could have lost too. I wasn't running then to be Prime Minister. I was running to be a Member of Parliament, an MP for a party that was in 3rd place and being written off by many as on its way to extinction. I won, thanks to so many of the great Liberals in this room. Thank you for 2013. Thank you for everything we did then. Thank you for everything that we have been doing ever since. Thank you, Liberals in this community. You are amazing. When I did win, I proudly took up my seat in the farthest back corner of the House of Commons. Because And when I did win, I proudly took up my seat in the farthest back corner of the House of Commons. Because I was there to serve you, my constituents, to fight for Canadians, and to help rebuild the Liberal Party. J'ai beaucoup appris quand j'étais députée d'opposition. J'ai rencontré des Canadiennes et des Canadiens de 4 coins de notre pays, dont au Québec. J'ai amélioré mon français, une grande priorité pour moi et pour nous tous. Surtout aujourd'hui. And I can promise you all, whether I win or lose this race, I am running in the next federal election. I hope we're all ready to put up some lawn signs. I know Paul's already working on it. Every other leadership contender needs to make that same commitment. Because in the coming election, the Liberal Party will need all hands on deck. Je vous le promets, que je gagne cette course ou non, je vais me présenter aux prochaines élections fédérales. Tous les autres candidats à la chefferie devraient prendre le même engagement. Dans les prochaines élections, tout le monde devra mettre la main à la pâte. In 2015, I moved from the backbenches into government. As trade minister, I delivered a trade deal with the European Union, more valuable today. I did, and that deal is more valuable today than ever. As foreign minister, I stood up to Donald Trump. I led the fight to save NAFTA and Canadian jobs, even when the Conservatives wanted me to back down. Et lorsque Donald Trump a imposé des tarifs illégaux sur l'acier et l'aluminium canadien, je nous ai défendus et nous avons encore gagné. En tant que vice-première ministre, j'ai dirigé la réponse du Canada face à la pandémie en aidant les Canadiennes et Canadiens ainsi que les entreprises canadiennes au moment où ils en avaient le plus besoin. As Finance Minister, I stabilized the economy during the COVID recession. We brought inflation and interest rates down more effectively than any other country in the G7. And 50 years after Canadian women first started the fight, and thanks to the leadership of pioneering women in Quebec, I am so glad to have finally brought in $10 a day daycare across the country. Donc, un gros merci aux féministes québécoises. These are accomplishments I'm proud of. These are accomplishments all Liberals should be proud of. But as a party, we need to recognize that today, Canadians want and need us to relentlessly focus on one thing: the economy. Canadians want good jobs, homes they can afford, and great care for their kids. They want a government that is as careful with Canada's money as Canadians are with their own. These bread and butter issues are more important today than ever because our country is facing what could well be an existential threat. Tomorrow, Donald Trump will be inaugurated as President of the United States. He has threatened to hit Canada with 25% tariffs on everything we sell to the U.S. He wants to steal our jobs and drive away investment. He has spoken clearly and repeatedly about making our Canada the 51st state. Yeah, and he's threatened to use economic coercion to do so.
You have to stop him.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. We do have to stop him, and we will. So here's my promise. If you choose me to become leader of the Liberal Party and Prime Minister, I will lead a true Canadian response to the threat we now face. We will be united. We will be strong. We will be smart. And that's why we will win. We will. Je vais rassembler chaque province et territoire, les dirigeantes d'entreprises et les travailleuses et travailleurs, les Canadiennes et les Canadiens de tous les milieux et de toutes convictions politiques. Je l'ai fait pour la renégociation. Je l'ai fait pour la renégociation de l'ALENA. Je l'ai fait pendant la pandémie. Et je vais le faire encore. I will unite every province and territory, business leaders and working people, and Canadians from every walk of life and of every political conviction. I did it during NAFTA. I did it during COVID. And I will do it again. This is the lesson of the peace country. When it's 40 below, every man is your friend, and you don't lock your cabin door. When we play as Team Canada, we win. Unity is the first step. Next, we need to recognize this is a time for Canada to be strong. So, I have a message today for President Trump. We are your neighbor and your most important trading partner. You export more to Canada than to China, Japan, the UK, and France combined. Canadians and Americans are friends. We're often family. We are allies. We have fought shoulder to shoulder in 2 world wars, in Korea, in Afghanistan. We won't pick a fight with you. We don't want a fight with you. But if the fight comes to our door, remember, we love our country just as much as you love yours. Canada is not for sale, and our sovereignty is not negotiable. Le Canada n'est pas à vendre et notre souveraineté n'est pas négociable. So, If you hit us, we will hit back. And I promise, if I'm Prime Minister, our response to illegal and unjustified tariffs will be dollar-for-dollar retaliation. If you force our hand, we will inflict the biggest trade blow that the United States has ever endured. Canada will not escalate. But if I am Prime Minister, Canada will never back down. Canada ne fera pas escalader la situation. Mais si je suis la Première ministre, le Canada ne reculera jamais. And then there's Pierre Poilievre. You know what the real problem with Pierre Poilievre is? It's not that he's mean. We know that. It's not that he's a career politician. We know that. It's not that he doesn't have a plan. We know that too. The real problem with Pierre Poilievre, he is weak. He's afraid to fight back against people he admires. Sure, he's happy to dunk on the Liberals on Twitter, but he will never stand up to Donald Trump. He can't even stand up to Danielle Smith. Make no mistake, if Pierre Poilievre is elected, he will be on the first flight to Mar-a-Lago to kiss the ring. He will bend down and sell us out. Laissez-moi vous dire quelque chose. Lorsque on a affaire à un intimidateur, la faiblesse est une provocation. Il y a une raison pour laquelle Donald Trump sait exactement qui je suis. Il y a une raison pour laquelle il ne m'aime pas beaucoup. C'est parce que la dernière fois qu'on s'est retrouvés face à face, je me suis battue pour le Canada. Bravo. Et on a gagné. I have always fought for the things I believe in and for the people I care about. For my family, for your family, for Canada. As a student, I fought the KGB until they kicked me out of the Soviet Union. As foreign minister, I fought for Canadian jobs and Canadian businesses. As finance minister, I fought for Canadian families. And yes, as deputy prime minister, I fought back against the prime minister when I knew the time had come to put our country first. We need a battle-tested leader with the scars to prove it. Because the stakes for our beloved country are just too damn high. Yeah, I've taken my share of slings and arrows over the years. And I am still standing. Because, you know what? I know how to fight, and I know how to win. On est tous très chanceux. On vit dans le meilleur pays du monde. Un pays où on travaille fort et où on s'occupe de nos voisins, où, quelle que soit votre langue, votre apparence, la personne que vous aimez, vos croyances ou l'endroit où vous êtes né, chaque jour représente une nouvelle opportunité. Un pays fièrement bilingue. Qui s'étend sur près de 10 millions de kilomètres carrés et dont la diversité est sans précédent. Un pays qui est resté uni malgré les guerres mondiales et les guerres commerciales, les crises d'unité et une pandémie mondiale. Un pays uni qui n'a jamais connu un défi si grand qu'il ne pouvait surmonter. Que ce soit face à Donald Trump, dans la lutte contre les changements climatiques, ou la défense de la langue française, c'est un privilège de me battre pour notre pays. De me battre pour les Canadiennes et les Canadiens. De me battre pour le Canada. Aujourd'hui, nous demandons l'aide de chacun d'entre vous, chaque libéral à travers le pays. Nous avons besoin de votre aide pour faire des appels, pour frapper aux portes, pour parler à vos amis, à votre famille et à vos voisins, pour leur montrer que nous sommes le parti qui est prêt à se battre pour les Canadiennes et les Canadiens. Qui est prêt à se battre pour le Canada? We are all so lucky. We live in the greatest country in the world. A country where we work hard and where we look after our neighbors. A country where no matter what language you speak, or what you look like, or who you love, or what you believe in, or where you were born, every day represents a new opportunity. A proudly bilingual country. Spread across nearly 10 million square kilometers, unprecedented in its diversity, which has stayed together through world wars and trade wars, through unity crises and a global pandemic, and a country that has never met a challenge greater than our united Canadian spirit. What a gift it is to call our incredible country home. And at this critical moment, what a privilege it is to fight for it. To fight for Canadians. To fight for Canada. And so today, we are calling on each of you, on every Liberal, in every corner of our great country, to join our team. We need your help to make calls, to knock on doors, to talk to your friends and your family and your neighbors, to show them that we are the party that is ready to fight for them. The party that is ready to fight for you. That is ready to fight for Canadians. And that is ready to fight for Canada. great. That is so, so great. We are ready to fight, aren't we? And so, with your help, we are going to fight. And we are going to win. Because we're Canadian. That's right, because we're Canadian, and we're so proud to be Canadian. The true north, strong and free. We are so proud to be Canadian. And because we're Canadian, and we know that when we are united, nothing and no one can stop us. Join us. Join the fight. Ensemble, nous pouvons y arriver. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very, very much. We're only getting started.
We'll take some questions from media now. Nous allons maintenant prendre des questions des médias.
Hi, Ms. Freeland. Mackenzie Gray with Global News. Hoping you can answer this in both English and French. Folks close to you have told us that if you become PM, you plan to scrap the carbon tax and replace it with something else. But as early or as most recently as December 9th, you extolled the virtues of both the carbon tax and the rebate. So can you tell us over the past 41 days what has changed in your thinking that the carbon tax is not the right thing to go forward with?
Thanks for the question, Mackenzie. And the time has come for us as a government, as a country, to do two things. I think we all know we have to fight against climate change. We all get that. We need to do it for our kids. We need to do it for the planet. Liberals believe in that, and that is a fight that has to continue. But it is also the case that we need to get better at listening to Canadians and at listening to what Canadians are telling us. And we have heard very clearly from Canadians in provinces where there is a consumer-facing price on carbon that they don't like it. That's something that we have to listen to. Democracy means when people tell you something, you have to listen. And I will say, our party hasn't been good enough at that. That has to change, and I am going to change that. Merci pour la question. Alors, la lutte contre les changements climatiques est tellement importante. On doit continuer avec cela pour notre planète, pour nos enfants et petits-enfants, et aussi pour notre économie. C'est essentiel. En même temps, c'est très important d'être à l'écoute aux Canadiens et Canadiennes. Et les Canadiens et Canadiennes, dans les provinces où il y a un tarif direct sur le carbone qui fasse directement aux consommateurs, qu'ils ne veulent pas. On doit être à l'écoute et on doit changer cela.
Ms. Freeland, Kamal Karamali here with CTV National News. Curious to know why you're boasting of it as an advantage that Donald Trump doesn't like you, especially between two key trading partners. Shouldn't you be getting along with them? And secondly, curious to know why you've limited questions to one per media outlet, especially when you haven't been available for such a long amount of time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Look, Donald Trump doesn't like me for one simple reason. I have been fierce, resolute, and effective in defending Canada, in defending Canadians, and in defending the Canadian economy, in negotiations with the United States, in negotiations with his administration. He doesn't like that. He prefers pushovers. And I want to assure Canadians that I am up for the fight and I will be firm and resolute in the defense of the national interest. You want someone as leader of the Liberal Party and as Prime Minister who Donald Trump is afraid of.
Bonjour, Andréane Williams, Radio-Canada. Ma question...
Bon, est-ce que je peux répéter la réponse en français parce que je n'ai pas fait cela, je m'excuse. Alors, j'étais très claire que Donald Trump, qui sait qui je suis, et qu'il ne m'aime pas beaucoup. Et il ne m'aime pas beaucoup pour une bonne raison. Parce que j'ai défendu le Canada. J'ai défendu le Canada fermement et j'ai réussi. Et c'est ce que je vais faire encore une fois.
Andréane Williams, Radio-Canada. J'aimerais avoir votre réaction par rapport à la décision, à l'annonce aujourd'hui de Mélanie Joly de soutenir Mark Carney. Est-ce que ce n'est pas un pied de nez qu'elle vous fait aujourd'hui, le jour de du lancement de votre campagne?
Je respecte Madame Joly beaucoup. Pour moi, le Québec, la langue française, l'identité distincte, la nation québécoise sera au cœur de ma campagne. C'est pourquoi j'ai commencé ma campagne au Québec. C'est pourquoi le premier entrevue que j'ai donné était en français. Parce que je sais l'importance du français, je sais l'importance d'identité québécoise et je dois dire encore une chose. Je sais qu'aujourd'hui, la langue française, l'identité du Québec sont menacées comme jamais. La menace que Trump pose au Canada, c'est aussi une menace qui s'est posée au Québec. Je sais très bien que les Québécois et Québécoises ne veulent pas devenir le 51e État des États-Unis. Et je suis ici pour défendre le Québec, défendre la langue française, défendre l'identité distincte du Québec, défendre le bilinguisme de notre merveilleux pays. Et je suis tellement contente que plusieurs députés du Québec, incluant Stéphane Lauzon, le chef du caucus du Québec, est ici avec moi.
Ms. Freeland, thank you for taking my question. Ahmed El-Bayoumi with Polycorner, and I do hope moving forward we can have more opportunities to ask questions.
And if you'll excuse the technical difficulty, we just lost the signal to Toronto as we've been listening to Chrystia Freeland, former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, officially kicking off her campaign to be the next Liberal leader. We have the signal back. Let's go back to Toronto.
For Israel's military operations in Gaza. We haven't seen this at any other campaign launch, not at Ms. Gould, not at Mr. Carney's. Why do you think you're being singled out by these protesters? And is there anything of substance that you can say to their concerns about the government's response to the war?
Thank you for the question. I do want to say I am really grateful that we live in a democracy. I am really grateful that we live in a country where everyone can express their view and where everyone has the right to protest. That is an amazing thing about Canada, and it's really important that people can disagree with each other and that everyone can state their view. It's also the case that the right to protest doesn't include the right to disrupt other people's right to speech. That is also essential about Canada. We cannot allow protest doesn't mean drowning out other people's voices. That is entirely unacceptable. That is not how Canadian democracy works. And I know that Canadians are not going to stand for that, and neither will I. When it comes to the Middle East, let me just say I am cautiously optimistic about the ceasefire in Gaza. I think we all share that sense of cautious optimism. For me, and I think for all of us, what has happened has been absolutely heartbreaking. It has been awful to see the images, to hear the stories, to see the carnage. That is absolutely unacceptable. Canada has been calling for a ceasefire. I am cautiously optimistic about the ceasefire that has been announced. It is so important for people to stop dying, and it is so important to recognize the pain, the heartbreak, the tragedy.
Good afternoon, Rafi Wujikani on CBC News. Could you explain why your difference of opinion with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on the economy started when he wanted to change your job in cabinet? Why was this the catalyst for you to begin speaking out?
Because the difference didn't start then. For some time, I had been in disagreement with the Prime Minister, specifically over spending. Those disagreements got worse after President Trump threatened to impose 25% tariffs on our country. At that point, I realized that we faced what could be an existential threat, and I realized that we had to really focus all of our energies on being ready for that threat. We had to keep our fiscal firepower dry. I was very clear about that, and we saw the consequences. Durant longtemps, j'étais en désaccord avec le Premier ministre, surtout sur les dépenses. Et ce désaccord était devenu plus intense après l'élection du président Trump et après son annonce après son menace d'imposer les tarifs de 25% au Canada. À ce moment-là, j'ai compris que c'était une menace potentiellement existentielle en notre pays. À un moment qu'on fait face à une menace existentielle, on ne pourra pas se permettre des dépenses électoralistes. J'étais claire concernant cela et on a vu les résultats.
Hi, Vipal Manga from the Wall Street Journal. You talked about the importance of unity taking on Trump in this trade war. What's your strategy for bringing Alberta online?
That is a really good question. And one of the things that I do think we need to do as a country is build a true Team Canada. You know, I know that Canada can win. I know that Canada has what it takes because we always have. But I do not minimize at all the threat we face. And the way we win, the way we won when we renegotiated NAFTA, the way we succeeded during COVID, was by building a true Team Canada approach. We have to do that again. Canada includes Alberta, and we do have to work hard with Alberta to get Alberta on side. I'm really ready and happy to do the work that it takes to do that. And I also want to say I'm relying on the other premiers of the other provinces and territories. A true Team Canada effort means all of us have to work together, and that is work that I've done. I've shown that I can get along with Conservative premiers, with NDP premiers, and with Liberal premiers. I know it can be achieved. It's something we need to do, and I am prepared to roll up my sleeves and do it.
Une question en français. Il n'y a pas eu beaucoup de questions en français, Madame Freeland, mais il y a une crête de la presse. J'aimerais savoir, vous avez signé plusieurs budgets à l'encre rouge comme ministre des Finances, pardon. Est-ce que vous engageriez à retourner à l'équilibre budgétaire dans une première année d'un premier mandat Freeland?
Pour moi, la responsabilité fiscale est très importante et c'était l'enjeu principal des désaccords entre moi et le Premier ministre. Concernant l'avenir, maintenant, on doit voir ce que le président Trump va faire et on doit construire notre politique autour de cela. On ne sait pas qu'est-ce qu'il va faire et on doit être prêt à répondre. Moi, je suis prête à répondre. Je suis prête à défendre le Canada face à la menace du président Trump. Je sais comment on doit le faire. On doit être unis, on doit être forte et on doit être intelligente. So fiscal responsibility is important to me. It was one of the principal, really the principal reason for my disagreement at the end with the Prime Minister. Right now, and it was really important at the time because we needed to keep our firepower dry to be ready for the threat that President Trump poses. Now, we need to see what's going to happen. We need to be ready to stand up and to defend Canada from this threat. I know we can do it, and I know how to do it. We need to be strong. We need to be smart, and we need to be united, and that is something we can do. Thank you very much.
And we have been listening to Chrystia Freeland, former Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister, officially kicking off her campaign to be the next Liberal leader. A bit of a longer kickoff than expected, and that is owing to pro-Palestinian protesters who interrupted the first 30 minutes of Ms. Freeland's event today on and off. But once talking, Ms. Freeland outlined what she believes are her accomplishments, what they have been while in cabinet, and also talked about the importance of bread and butter issues right now for Canadians, promising to focus on the economy, also promising to be a strong defender of Canada in the face of Donald Trump, saying, quote, "I will lead a true Canadian response to the threat we now face. We will be united," says Ms. Freeland. "We will be strong. We will be smart." Now, she is promising to inflict the biggest trade blow to the United States if it does go through with Donald Trump's threatened 25% tariff. Ms. Freeland also promising to unite all provinces and territories and Canadians from all walks of life, and sharing that she had been disagreeing with Mr. Trudeau, the current Prime Minister, for some time before her resignation in December. Now, she also calls on Liberals across the country to support her. And in terms of who she is up against, well, let's take a look at where the field now stands when it comes to those who are seeking the Liberal leadership. Along with Ms. Freeland, we also have Mark Carney, former Bank of Canada Governor, Karina Gould, who earlier this morning made her official campaign launch in Burlington, Ontario. Also joined by three others, we have Jaime Batiste, Chandra Arya, and Frank Baylis, all of whom now seeking the Liberal leadership. And as for the timeline, take a look at what will be unfolding in the next few weeks. Of course, it all began earlier this month on the 6th when Justin Trudeau announced his resignation. The 23rd of January will be the deadline for any candidate to essentially join the race. The 27th is the last day for Canadians to register as a Liberal so that they can vote in the Liberal leadership process. And after that, February 17th, that is a key point in terms of the fact that that is when the $350,000 entrance fee must be paid by each candidate to remain in the race. On the 9th, the voting and the results will be known. A new leader is announced, a new leader, and not only that, a new Prime Minister. And then March the 24th, the current date for the end of prorogation. So a lot to keep in mind as we now say goodbye to Toronto, as we are listening to Ms. Freeland announce her leadership. You've been watching CPAC. I'm Michael Serapio. We return you now to regular programming.